Hey everybody, it's James here from the Sawyer Family Reviews channel. Continuing our marathon of reviews of the DC Collectibles animated figures. We're looking at figure number 11 today, the Creeper from New Batman Adventures. Let's check him out. Alright, so package look at Creeper. New Batman Adventures style figure. So we've got blue highlighting on the packaging. The Creeper along the side, figure number 11, logo down below. We've got sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios, stuff all behind him there, flip-flop of the colors on the back. Not much to it, not much to talk about. Let's move on. Okay, we got Creeper out of the box here. Let's talk about all his little doodads first. We've got the little checklist poster deal, half Batman Animated, half New Batman Adventures. The first three waves. We're on wave 3 now. We're looking at Creeper. He's from the episode Beware the Creeper. Accessories, hands. First off, we've got a set of semi-gripping hands where it's got a little area that's open to slide in, like the one accessory you can probably hold. So you've got, look out now. I'm knocking them off of there. My little, very inventive way of putting stuff on there. Poster tack doesn't work all that great. And then we've got a set of open hands where we get more of a look at his clawed fingers, his pointy fingertips. And that's the set of hands I'm actually going to put on the figure because it's a much more Creeper-esque look to have those instead of the included fisted hands. And then accessories, we've got the Ben Cooper style Batman Halloween mask, which he finds when he's going through the vintage clothing store. He holds it in front of his face. I don't think he actually puts it on his face. He just kind of holds it there, or puts it on his head rather. And you can't really do that with the figure because the hair prevents it from getting on there. The most you can do is kind of have him hold it in front of his face, and that's about it. And then we've got the little rat friend that pops on his head when he's looking through the trash. And then the last accessory is probably the nicest one of the bunch. That Ben Cooper Batman mask is pretty sweet. Is a pool stick which he uses to beat up on the Joker's goons. It's got a bunch of paint apps for one pool stick. It's got the black, the wooden area, a little bit of white, and then the blue chalk tip. It's a pretty nice pool stick. And of course, we have to talk about the stand. We'll start with the negatives first. You plug on this rod piece. It's got an indented part that will match the recess on the base. And then you've got this part that plugs on there. It moves up and down and back and forth. The thing about this one, though, is they should have included the style that is more like with Batman, where it doesn't have these prongs coming out of the back, because there's no way you're getting it past that furry hair piece on the back. That's just not happening. I guess you could kind of clip this just around the hair piece. That's not going to work either, though. This is a useless stand. The coolest thing about the stand is the turnarounds. In the case of Creeper, he only has 2 turnarounds on here because it's a large amount of space taken up by this boa thing. I did pull the style guide sheet this time for you guys, I remembered. So this is the full turnarounds and what they look like. Here's the one they couldn't fit, the quarter turn. And then as you can see on these style guides a lot, they'll make capes invisible. They'll just give you a dotted line where they are so you can actually see what the character's back would be like for art references. Speaking of art references, let's talk about this really quick too. I feel like the coloring on Creeper here is not on model to the show. This looks more like the Creeper from the comics, the yellow they use here. And I'm sorry if my camera's doing some color correction stuff. It sometimes does that. Like with the background, it makes it look a little pinkish, where it's color correcting for what's in front. But this is a bright, bright yellow. And in the show, as we can see by this sheet from the style guide, he was not that bright a yellow. He was more like a Dijon mustard yellow. Not this bright yellow that they've got going here. I wish he was colored more like this than he was this. But I mean, it's valid for the Creeper. It looks like he does in the comics, as opposed to what he looked like on the cartoon. But it is what it is. Let's talk about his height, and then we're going to go over his articulation, which we have some problems when it comes to articulation. So he stands at the top of his hair. It's right about 6 1/4. At the top of his furry back piece, it's more like 6 1/2. So he's a pretty large character. All of the DC Collectibles animated figures are built on the 6-inch scale. Here he is next to the New Batman Adventures Batman. So you can see he is a little bit taller than Batman, and if you consider the red area, he's taking up a lot more height than Batman is. Articulation. Now, as far as the paintwork goes, I've already talked to you about that yellow. Everything else is really clean and nice on him. The stripes are nice on the shorts. You know, most of the pieces are going to be molded in the color they are, but the expression on his face is well done. The eyes are painted well. So you've got a nice bit of paintwork here. The articulation, though, this is my first figure where I have kind of a major gripe. So let's go over it, and then as I get to the part that I'm not a fan of, we'll talk about it. So he's got the standard ankle joint where it moves back and forth, and then we've got the pivot ankle that plugs in there. He's got rotation where the red part meets the black part on his leg. Now the knees. These knees, they move back and forth. There is like no resistance on them. They're not ratcheting. They just move back and forth. And right out of the box, they feel like there's not much resistance at all. Especially if we consider what a top-heavy character he is. So he's going to fall over on you a little bit, and you'd want to maybe bend the knees a bit to give him some balance, but you can't do that because this boa area, this is solid plastic, and so he is very top-heavy. So ratcheting knees would have came in very handy, or including a kind of stand that would actually support him. So that's my first major gripe so far of these reviews, is that his knees are way too loose for as heavy as this is. It's funny that we just got done looking at Killer Croc, who had no knee joints due to his heavy up your body, I think. We've got Creeper here, who kind of feels maybe heavier up top, and he's got the loosest knees so far of the line. He does have hip articulation, but there's not much to it. It stops there and stops there. It's barely going forward. Then he swings out, but you'd have to kind of move this leg up to swing it out, because this piece of the furry back area is going to block that joint on that side. It's got free movement on that side. We've got waist rotation. We've got shoulder rotation. But again, we're going to be blocked by this, I don't know what to call this, red fur on the back. So it can go out to there, but your turnaround is going to be all stopped by this stuff. He's got elbow articulation that hinges and also swivels. And he also has, a bit like the New Batman Adventures Croc, where the shape of his arm is a bit weird. As you can see, it kind of bows out here. So it's almost like it's meant to be turned in some, but then you've got a joint that goes in and out like that. It's kind of just it's a bit of a strange look. Creeper's strange, though, so maybe just being strange is what he's all about. Rotation at the wrist that hinge in and out, and then we've got a ball-jointed neck that can look down like that, up to there, and then just kind of swivels around. There's no, like, turning side to side. It's more like a swivel around than it is a turn to side. I'm going to put him back on the stand now to keep talking about him. I had to go with a very large doll stand for him, the kind I was using for Croc and Man-Bat, so that I can go around the red piece instead of going around his waist, because trying to wedge something in between that boa piece and the waist is almost impossible. Now, there is one thing I do like about this red fur back piece, is that on the old Kenner figure, that wasn't attached to the figure. It was a separate piece, and you just kind of sit it on there, and it would fall off all the time. I remember that as a younger, I don't know if it really wasn't a kid at that point. I was in my mid to late teens. It would just fall off. So I remember gluing mine on there because it would just come off all the time. So I do like that this piece is permanently attached, because it's part of the Creeper outfit. It's like a Superman cape or Batman's cape. It's going to be on there. When you're displaying it, it's going to be on there. So I do like that this piece is permanently attached to his back and not like just a sit on there or clip on there or something like that. For me, that's better, because it is such a heavy piece, such a large piece. It's not going to be something that stays on there well if you put it as a removable piece. As you can see, I'm already having problems just getting him lined up because of those weak knees. Very surprised by that. Why those aren't ratcheting is very puzzling to me. Okay, so I think we covered his height, we covered his articulation, we covered the gripe. I do really love the fact that they did make a Creeper figure, and that it was this early in the line. At this point, this is what was in the line. There were 12 figures in the line, and Creeper was one of the first 12. At that point in time, it was an indicator of how deep this line was going to go, that we were getting a character like Creeper before we were getting characters like Penguin or Scarecrow. Kind of a one-shot deal with Creeper in the cartoon, and he has a figure in the first 12. That was pretty cool. And as we come to know, I mean, I'm looking at this line in retrospect now, we did get a lot of stuff out of this line, and Creeper was a good indication of kind of the stuff that we might end up seeing, stuff that you didn't think you would get in figure form from DC Collectibles. You got it. Okay, that wraps it up on Creeper here. The next one up, I believe, is, yeah, she's sitting right here. Number 12, Batman Animated Harley, and I got some interesting things to say about this one. That'll be the next one to go up. It'll probably be sometime next week. I think I'm going to do that Joker bust review next so I can have all the bust reviews done. If you enjoy the videos, please like, subscribe, notify, click the bell for notifications. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about the Creeper figure. If you experience the same knee deal that I'm dealing with here. Yeah, tell me what you think about those bases, too. All right, see you guys next time.